We're nowhere near close to being out of this yet, given the latest stay-at-home order in San Francisco. I know you live in San Francisco. Your office is in San Francisco. What's your reaction, to this new order and things clearly just not getting better and perhaps getting worse before they do?
Yeah, well, it's hugely disappointing, obviously, and all DocuSign 5,000 plus employees have been working from home since March, and we would love to get back into the office, as would I. But I'm at the same time, given the situation and the health risk and the situation with our hospitals, I think it's prudent for us to be cautious right now. I will be supportive of going another chunk of time here, being extra conservative, and it's not fun, but I think it's medicine that I'd rather take this period right now than the much worse potential we could have from the pandemic if we don't address it and nip it in the bud now.
Now, it's a trend that was happening anyway, the digitization of signatures and agreements, and should continue to happen. But how much has the pandemic accelerated your growth? And will this growth continue when, let's hope, there is a vaccine and you can go back to the office?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as much as you are, Emily. My view is that DocuSign definitely got a tailwind initially. In the first part of the year, we saw that there was an acceleration in demand, particularly for our e-signature, which is kind of the sort of flagship product that DocuSign has. And what we've seen now, though, is that that's translated into people saying, this is fantastic to digitally transform my business, and they're finding more and more use cases. So our view is, while it was a turbocharging, it won't sort of let up, and we're going to continue to have very high growth going forward.
So, what does a post-COVID normal world, new normal, I'm sure, actually look like to you? I'm sure there's a lot of pull forward demand, and certainly this is a trend that's going to keep accelerating, but does that acceleration slow down?
Yeah, and if you think about the acceleration, and it was substantial, right? Having billings growth in the 50, 60% the last 3 quarters, and adding, from a direct customer standpoint, 34,000, not counting our digital or web customers, in the first 9 months of the year. Sort of unprecedented for us, for sure. But as we look at it going forward, we think we're going to maintain very robust growth, because, as I said, the customers that we've brought on are actually looking to accelerate with our land and expand model and do more with us. And we're also seeing our net retention rate, our dollar net retention rate, shot up to 122% here in Q3. We just reported yesterday, the highest we've ever had, and outside of the range that we initially thought we would be. So our growth from our existing customers, not just the net new that are coming to us from COVID, is also accelerating. So those factors give me confidence that we will see continued high growth for many quarters to come.
You've got a partnership with Slack. Slack users can use DocuSign to sign contracts without leaving the platform. DocuSign is a $45 billion company. Salesforce just bought Slack for almost $28 billion. What is your take on the deal, and if it will mean more consolidation in the software industry?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal for sure. We're close to both companies. I'm actually looking at the Salesforce headquarters right there and the Slack headquarters right there. So literally we're close to them, because the DocuSign headquarters is 2 blocks that way. But we have important partnerships with them. We're customers of Slack and of Salesforce, and they're both customers of DocuSign. We just announced the integration with Slack, and of course Salesforce has been one of our strongest go-to-market partners. They're originally an investor in the company. And so we feel really good about both those companies. I think it's an exciting space. I don't think the tech space, if you'd asked me a year ago, would we see deals in the $20+ billion, for a company like Slack, I probably wouldn't have guessed it. And I think for Slack employees, for Slack customers and shareholders, it's a fantastic deal, and Salesforce will be a fantastic home for them. So I think it's a lot of positive.
So will there be more consolidation, do you think, in the enterprise software business, and obviously consumer side as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the construct has a lot of cash, obviously, on the sidelines. There's a lot of demand for growth, and the enterprise software space has really been one of the areas of dramatic growth. And that's one of the reasons valuations, as you've indicated, have gotten so high, to levels we've really never had before. It's unprecedented valuation levels. And I think there was a concern that M&A wouldn't happen at these heightened levels. I think the answer is one data point that suggests that they will, based on this deal. And I'm not a sort of financier from that standpoint. I run a software company, but my assumption would be we will probably see continued M&A as more and more people are not only doing the strategic sort of pieces on the chessboard, but also just feeling probably more comfortable seeing, Mark make that move from a valuation acquisition, that other people will probably look at those multiples and say, I guess the water's warm. Let's jump in.
There's been increasing interest in the biometrics part of the business given the pandemic, and we've seen biometrics accelerate. What is your take on biometric security, and how could that fit into your business?
Well, biometrics is just another example for us, and an important one, of our overall construct of identity. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest challenges, whether you're taking a security standpoint or just a business standpoint, is you have to be able to figure out who's on the other side of that keyboard, so to speak. And so I think identity is going to be big, and I think biometrics will be important. Although, I'll tell you, in the late 90s when I was at NextCard and we were trying to figure out, as you recall, how we were going to build our business and how a financial services company could leverage biometrics, we started talking about what that would look like. It's 20 years later, and we really haven't progressed that much in that time. So I think there's a big question of, is that going to be, sort of the unlocking vehicle that takes us to the next level? Or will people think some of the existing things we do today on the internet to identify someone, as simple as sending someone an email, having them do a sort of a second party authentication, with a text message, is that sufficient for business? And is that going to be the mode that we go forward? I think it's still unclear. So at DocuSign, we're thinking about, we want to be in all of those games. So we're looking at all the ways we can leverage identity to ensure our customers will have that full suite of options.